Another postseason, another opportunity for Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, and they come up short once again, Steve. It was a talented Ravens roster they had this year with Lamar Jackson, who's potentially going to win his third MVP. They had a league-high 9 Pro Bowlers on this team, tied for an NFL-high 4 first-team All-Pros. But once again, the postseason rolls around, and they find themselves on the outside looking in as we head towards the Super Bowl. You were there in Orchard Park. Several layers, I would assume. Been there for postseason play. It's a lunacy of an environment. What was Orchard Park like, Steve?
Well, first of all, it was a great game. It was my first time experiencing an NFL game as a fan. And when I say as a fan, I'm talking about hotel, flight, rental car. It was really a unique experience.
You brought your daughter?
Yeah, I brought my daughter, Bailey, a huge Ravens fan. She calls them her bookies.
Yes, she does.
And when I say as a fan, I'm not really trying to be funny or be negative. I'm talking about as a fan where, oh yeah, I gotta do the rental car. Oh, sorry, sir. The rental car you rented is not available.
I have a reservation.
Yeah, oh, you have a reservation? That's good. We don't have any available, sorry. And just all of the small little nuances of going to the game, experiencing what the fans experience, not complaining, just telling you I was ignorant to the fact of what goes on to get there. And bro, it was cool. It was unique. I got a lot more respect for the fans of what they go through and how they go through those things.
We do have to discuss the game part of it too, Steve, with Baltimore does come up short. Like I mentioned, once again, Lamar Jackson, that's what everybody's going to talk about.
That's all they're talking about.
And that's kind of the angle I wanted to go with this is Lamar's now 3-5 in the postseason. You look at those 5 losses, I mean, essentially 0-3 in the postseason against Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. Turned the ball over 11 times in those 8 playoff games. That's one aspect I look at that is always a part of postseason play. Because what did we see Lamar do with the football during the regular season? What did he throw? 4 picks? I mean, he had
he was very
handful
good.
of fumbles, but protecting the football is a big part of it. But a big part of the postseason, Steve, also is these are quarterback wins and losses in the postseason. What has a quarterback done in the postseason? Obviously, the fumble was a bad fumble by Lamar earlier in the game. Was not a good fumble. But if you look at the way he played in the second half, he outplayed Josh Allen for a lot of stretches of this game. Second half, what'd they have? 4 possessions, 2 touchdowns and a field goal, and the other one was the Mark Andrews fumble.
I think they made good adjustments, both teams. I think they countered each other of what was successful and what was not successful. I think they did a really good job. It was some off-the-mark throws by both quarterbacks. It was some errors by both teams. But ultimately, the quarterbacks get all the glory, and the quarterbacks are going to get all the blame. And when you look at Lamar Jackson, the first thing I was thinking when you were saying 11 turnovers, I wanted to interject and say, were they all Lamar Jacksons?
That's the point I'm making, right? Everybody's going to say
they weren't. They were not. And you got to also admit, one of those losses in the game of the playoffs, he lost to his teammate, now his brother in arms, Derrick Henry, who I remember. I don't think it was Lamar Jackson who was getting thrown out the club. I think it was Earl Thomas who attempted to tackle Derrick Henry and was thrown out the club and mushed several times on a long run. But for some reason, hey, we all look alike, so I guess it was Lamar Jackson. Do not edit that out.
Yeah, keep in there. Do not edit that out. But that's the other part of this, Steve, that I'm fascinated with the postseason because I don't want Patrick Mahomes to catch a stray here. But I was at the other game, and if you're looking at the way Lamar Jackson played, I'm not saying Pat played poorly at all, but special teams more or less lost that game for the Houston Texans. And so does that fall on C.J. Stroud? CJ played pretty decent against an offensive line that's had their issues. Yeah, he was sacked 8 times. He made some plays. He did some things well. I mean, you look at what ended. This is my main point because this stat came out while I'm sitting in the press box, and I'm going, this is why I'm thinking about this conversation right now with Lamar Jackson and the way he is perceived right now. We had a great episode before these games about the perception of Lamar if he lost this game. The Texans were the 55th team, Steve, since 1991 to outgain their opponent by more than 100 yards and not turn the ball over through the first 3 quarters of a game. The average lead of those 55 teams was 16 points. The Texans were losing the game. So but this is going to be CJ Stroud and the Texans can't get over the hump. This is Lamar Jackson and the Ravens can't get over the hump in the postseason. How much are we inappropriately placing things on the quarterback as opposed to the rest of the team in the postseason, making sure that, looking at this through a Ravens lens, they can get over the hump?
Here's the deal, people. All season long, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. Only on Underdog. Pick higher or lower on your favorite player, and you can join the millions of fans winning millions this season. Sign up today using promo code UD89 and you'll get a free pick as part of your first cash entry plus $1,000 in bonus cash. Again, promo code UD89 to cash in on every touchdown this season, only on Underdog.
Well, if I remove the name of Lamar Jackson and I just throw this out there, it just depends on what the poll of people you are polling. Like, what is your outcome? You're going to poll enough people to favor your outcome. And for whatever reason, maybe it's because Lamar Jackson is African American. Maybe it's because Lamar Jackson is tall. Maybe it's because he has a diamond grill. Maybe it's because he wears the beanie over his head. I remember, I was a teammate of Cam Newton, and I remember people were upset that he had a Gatorade towel over his head, but Gatorade was also paying him a boatload of money.
I'd wear a Gatorade towel everywhere if that was the case.
And Gatorade is the towel that every team has on the sideline. My point is, and you could say it's not about race, I don't know. Sometimes you just don't like somebody. And I think we should just start admitting we just don't like a player for a particular reason, and you're entitled to that opinion and that feeling. There's a number of players over my career, and there's a number of fans and a number of comments, for whatever reason, don't like me, and I don't like them. But that's our opinion. I'm just okay with sharing it. I'm letting it be known versus saying, I don't like this. I didn't like him because I didn't like the team. That's something. It's nothing wrong with it, but it's something. But for whatever reason, Lamar Jackson does not get a hall pass. There's other people who have been higher drafted people who are expected to be okay and get a hall pass. And there are some other people who are not drafted higher, who aren't on better teams, but they get a hall pass. So whatever you are feeling or whatever type of way you have it, just be confident and be okay with it. Let it be and let me be, and we'll be fine. But I just don't understand how one guy gets a hall pass and another guy doesn't. And that's just preference, and that's what people tell. I'm just saying what a lot of people are dancing around. There are some people that just don't like Lamar Jackson. Just flat out, they don't. And there are some people like me, I just don't like some other quarterbacks. Because I also, and some people say, well, you don't know him. I don't know him. But I have heard enough conversations and enough things about people that I go, wow, interesting. And that allows me to form my opinion to where I sit back and I prefer not to interact with those individuals. And that's my preference. I call that blue cheese. I don't like blue cheese. I love ranch, balsamic, Thousand Island, Italian, but blue cheese, nah, man. I don't get down with it.
So you're up there in Buffalo wings, you're going ranch, not blue cheese up there.
I go ranch. First of all, I am not having bacteria cheese. It's moldy cheese. Sorry. It's just the clumps, the texture, the smell. No, I'm straight.
I do think, to round this out, Steve, I would say this. I somewhat understand a portion of probably the perception and anger towards Lamar Jackson because the regular seasons have been so dominant. Like so dominant. That they want to see that happen in the postseason. You know this just as well as anybody. Postseason play is different.
Hold on, though.
Okay.
A desire of wanting to see somebody be successful, and they hate to denigrate them and try to minimize them is a bit different, isn't it?
Totally.
Okay.
I understand what you were saying. I'm looking at a portion of the people that are Ravens fans right now going, their frustration is this. We're seeing these regular seasons that are outstanding. I mean, some of the best performances in regular season we've seen. Man, that gets me fired up for the postseason because I'm watching 17 games of this. And I get that part of it. But what I don't subscribe to is a quarterback in today's NFL. That is a long career, most likely.
A good one.
I think we jumped to conclusions a little bit in the early portion of Lamar's career. I think we have an opportunity to still see a boatload of postseason success and a boatload of other successes that he can have down the road. I think what's happening in people's mind is the discrepancy between regular season and postseason that is giving them some frustration. And I understand that part of it when you see your team play so well. But my point is, it doesn't always fall on Lamar. There's 3 phases of the game. There's a lot of other things that you can do to win a football game. You can't turn it over as a team. Like, you can't, and especially in the postseason. Turnovers just can't happen. That's why Kansas City's been successful. They don't turn the ball over in the postseason. Like, it's something they don't really do. So I just think this was a conversation we wanted to have just because we were fascinated about what the perception of Lamar would be after this game, because we talked a lot about it before, and now we are seeing what the perception of him and the Ravens is past this game, and now they have another offseason to go watch the end of this season, him possibly get an MVP again, and then regroup in 2025 to find a way to get to that next step. But my point is, they've won a boatload of football games. That's not by accident.
Nope.
And Lamar's a big part of that.
Yep.
You just got to find your other recipe for success, and a lot of things just don't bounce your way. And so, I mean, we saw this with Peyton Manning for a long portion of the early portion of his career. I mean, these are the only 2 teams, really, that have won this many games in like a 6-season stretch, regular season, postseason combined, that didn't get to a Super Bowl. It's like Peyton Manning 99 to like 05 or whatever it is, and this stretch with Lamar. And I think we all think Peyton Manning was a pretty good NFL quarterback.
He's a damn good quarterback.
Let's just wait. I know Ravens fans don't want to hear that, but there's time.